Over much of the past year, the movement known as Slut Walk has been snaking its way through cities and towns around the world. On Saturday, October 22nd, Valley activists held a Northampton Slut Walk to tackle the task of ending both victim blaming and slut shaming in a culture that is much too lenient towards sexual violence. The protest began at noon in downtown Northampton, where activists rallied from Lampron Park to City Hall. Participants represented themselves by declaring their political message, challenging blaming the victim attitudes towards rape and domestic violence, and bringing awareness to the shame and degradation women still face for expressing their sexuality.
Women should avoid dressing like sluts in order not to be victimized.
And engage in a reciprocal loop that allows people to be present. And that reciprocal loop changes everything. We are all human beings here, and we are not born to harm. Here's the deal. There are no little boys that when they're 3 and 4 years old, and they're wearing their pajamas, and they're kneeling at the side of their bed saying their prayers, say a prayer that goes like this: "Oh, please God, I will just be the best boy that you ever heard of if only you will let me grow up to be a rapist." No! No! And there are no little girls who kneel beside their beds in their pajamas and think and pray, "Dear God, if only, I promise I will be so good, if only you will let me grow up so that someday I can be violently sexually assaulted." No. No! We are all born an empathic species, but we are born into a global rape culture. Because that's what we've got. Yes, that is right. We are born into a global rape culture. So what is it? global rape culture? It's a culture that's based on faulty beliefs. We have the beliefs that there's us, and then there's them. There's we, that's we, and then there's other. And as long as we are able to engage in othering, we are able to do harm because it breaks the empathic loop that happens in the brain. The global rape culture breeds rape. What we are taught is that males are animals that can't control their dicks. We're taught that females are vessels and that they are made as vessels so that we can use them and then blame them. And these are faulty, erroneous concepts that the rape culture propagates. And why do we have rape culture? It's because of patriarchy. And that's really what I want to talk to you about. So here's a shape for you. That is my attempt at a triangle. The way that we have foundationed all of what we have created is on the premise that up at the top of that triangle is some level of other thing that is better and bigger and smarter than any of us. Many people call it God. And right underneath that, we've placed white males. And underneath that, we've placed any other ethnic males. And underneath that, we've placed white women. And then any other ethnic groups of women. And then we've placed children. And way down at the bottom, we've placed nature. That is a definition of patriarchy. Patriarchy is a shape. I call patriarchy a belief disease. I have 4 minutes. Oh my God. Okay. The belief disease has
and loving instead of violent. A fusion of sexism and violence is a recipe for disaster, a perfect formula for violence against women. We must ask the whys and look at the roots. It hasn't always been this way. I dream of a world where men don't have to hide their sensitive side, afraid of being called a pussy and a faggot. And I dream of a day where gay is not an insult. Where no man is shunned for resisting Raj culture, saying fuck you to gender role stereotypes. A day where the peer pressure is eliminated so that men don't fear the stigma of not putting on the performance of misogyny. I dream of a day where we can unlearn all that we were taught about manhood. I know we men can all be better, and even I must still completely break free. We have to start now and make this dream a reality. I dream of a day where we can embrace the therapy of tears instead of shunning them as a form of weakness until those emotions flood out through violence, beating people up to prove strength and dominance, using women to prove you are better than the next man. I dream of erasing sayings like he has game or I just scored, like women are objects, and bringing them to bed is just a sport to be played, adding up the sperm shot scoreboard and bragging about it in locker rooms. I dream of a day where I dream of a day without catcalls. I dream of a day without catcalls, where men know and accept the difference between compliments and harassment. A day where I don't have to hear people salivate and make rude comments every time an attractive woman passes by. Even if only under your breath, always know it is destructive. Even if she doesn't hear you, it is harmful even if it crosses your mind. So unlearn and don't even think about it. I dream of a day where men realize that women's rights issues affect them, and thus are men's issues too. I dream of a day without sexist terminology. We should all take right out to the dictionary because words like bitch, whore, and cunt will no longer be used. Sticks and stones break bones, but words are fucking powerful too. I dream that violent words like smash and hit will no longer be used to describe sex. That and it will never again be used to describe the beautiful woman involved. Sayings like down to smash, I hit that, I tapped that last night, and yeah, I hit it will no longer have a place in our society. immediately so that they may think twice about it. That is the first step to becoming a better man. And if you see somebody acting misogynistic and sexist, break your fear, call that person out, and tell them they are wrong. Male women directly relates to societal pressures and what each one of us is taught. It can be hard to break free from. I know this, but we still must smash this box we are trapped in. We are taught to need to be top dog, have all the power, dominate women, use them for sex. We are taught to feel nothing but hatred and anger. We are taught that being soft is bad. We are taught things that lead to doing horrible atrocities. I dream of ending the domino effect. I dream of a world where alcohol is no longer a date rape drug. Women can walk the streets safely and live with